Well, of course, you would expect a rocket scientist to have the answers to a really difficult math problem, but you probably wouldn't expect them to have the answer for you on how you can make your life better, unless that answer is rooted in science. Here to unleash the answers for us is the award-winning rocket scientist, Olympia LePoint. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I am well, Alyssa. How are you? Thank you for having me on your show.
Of course, we're so happy to have you. And before we get to your theory, quantum deciding, which I'm so excited to talk about, let's talk about your amazing journey. Now, you've been dubbed the modern day hidden figure by People magazine and hailed as the new Einstein by your fans. And you've come such a long way from your childhood. Can you talk about that?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am an award-winning rocket scientist, and I helped launch 28 space shuttle missions into space, as well as create and help launch the technology that we use today on our virtual platforms, as well as help with creating the engines that we landed on Mars. But a lot of people do not know that I struggled growing up, and I struggled in poverty and failed grades, and I had to retrain my thinking and how to succeed. And so in my latest book, Answers Unleashed 2, I talk about how we can take the toughest moments and actually transform them and figure out the future that we want. And I had to do that in my own life because I grew up in absolute poverty close to South Central Los Angeles, and I had to start making decisions to overcome fear. And one of the things that I did was I had to understand that I had a bright future in front of me no matter what I was going through. And all of us have that ability to see our bright futures, and I talk about that in my book.
I love this. And retraining your brain, you went from something, and I'm sure if we have students or parents of students who are struggling in math watching, it's something that maybe is so small to some but huge for others. You went from failing in math to becoming a math professor, and now helping launch rockets into space. I mean, it's just incredible, and all with this scientific theory called quantum deciding. So how can that help us change our lives?
Well, that is such a great question. We suffer from fear, all of us. All humans suffer from fear, whether it's the fear of math and science that I talk about in my first book, whether it is the fear of going back in the past and that I talk about in my second book, or whether it is fear of actually the future, which I talk about in my latest book. When we overcome fear and we actually start looking forward to the future in which is going to come, the future that we want, not the future that we don't want, but rather the future that we want, we can actually make 6 decisions to actually get there. And that is a part of my quantum deciding theory, which is we easily have 6 decisions on a daily basis that we can make. And in doing so, we activate a natural science that allows us to reach the future that we want versus just getting the future that we don't want out of our path, so we actually go towards, like in my case, becoming a rocket scientist. And in anyone's case, they can start a business, they can start a family, they can heal in the pandemic. It's all based on our decision making.
Very cool. Olympia, I'm so inspired by you. I know, for one, I can't wait to see what your 6 decisions are to help us get through the daily fear. So if you want more from Olympia LePoint, here's some information on your screen right now, and you can find out more information to Answers Unleashed Volume 2. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.